Toxic Chronicles. It's Rashenda. I have had the most interesting day today, like all my other days, but I just had this feeling where I should probably make a chronicle out of this instead of writing it down, because the reason I'm making this is because I just came from church, and I usually write down all of my thoughts during the sermon while church is happening. And the reason I'm making this is because it was so good, and I wrote everything down already, and I don't feel like journaling it again, so I just had the strongest urge to walk into my green room and film a chronicle. Today's just been full of so much love and just so sparkly. I got to spend time with a lot of the people that I care about and meeting so many people and getting to share bits of our lives with each other. It was just so beautiful, and I feel so sparkly right now. But yes, and I was also thinking to myself, like, would I rather spend 45 minutes to an hour filming myself yapping about the things that have been happening in my life, or would I rather spend hours working on 3-minute compilations of sped up videos of me yapping and putting captions on it and not being able to function afterwards because I've spent all my brain power replaying these videos and making sure that the captions are accurate? So I think I would rather do this. And I know that these don't get as much traction because they're so freaking long, and I don't expect anyone to really listen to what I'm saying in these things. So it just feels really good to get these thoughts out there and have them documented so I don't lose that. I have a problem where I say really good things because usually I just yap with no direction. And whenever I do have a direction, it's never documented, and I get really sad because I know I said something so good, but but that's so rare, and I don't mean that in a bad way. It's so rare, and I don't have that, and I just spend days wishing that I did. So now I have this. So this is more for myself than it is anything, but we're already 3 minutes in. I haven't gotten to the thing. But so today I went to the evening service instead of the Ignite service, and I think it was, I don't know, I just have this thing when I go to the Ignite service where I feel like I have to, put up a front. And I also, when I first started attending Coastline Church, it was so good. It was the Rashenda. She was making all those connections. But that was around the time where I was getting burnt out with all of my relationships. So I would make these connections and be really excited and super motivated from the conversations that I was having. But eventually I couldn't spread myself to everyone at the moment. I was moving too fast in life, and I'm gonna talk about that later. I was moving so quickly, making too many connections in such a short amount of time, which is great, but I was also trying to give too much of myself and not being aware of the reservoir that I have, and just thinking that I was infinite. And just, I don't know, I have a lot of love to share, but I have a problem of not being aware of just how much I can give until it's bad for me. And I find that with my relationships now, where sometimes they don't serve me, sometimes they can be my closest friends, but being with them, I can't help but feel a little heavy in some moments. and not knowing when to walk away. And also just when to take responsibility, because my coworker and I got into a little tryst, if you didn't see. And he obviously knows more than I do, and I was frustrated that I was confronted by something, because I take so much pride in being a vessel of joy to other people's lives that I get really disappointed in myself, and sometimes I get defensive, but most of the time I just get really sad and deflect, and I apologize, but I don't fully go into my apology, because I hate feeling like somebody's disappointed in me. Anyways, back to church. Okay, so today I had no idea that it was baptism night, and so the worship was happening. No, I'm gonna backtrack. So this morning I woke up. Oh my goodness. I woke up, and then I went over to Mateo's to make dumplings with him and his partner and all of his friends, and it was so beautiful, so amazing. Apparently I'm coworkers with one of them, but I actually haven't started working in person at that location, so I haven't formally met everyone, and I low-key don't think I'm ever gonna show up to that job, and I feel really terrible because I haven't really done the paperwork, and I can't because the thing that I have to do the paperwork on isn't working for me. It doesn't like me, so I think I'm just giving up on it. But I also already have a full-time job, and it pays decently, but it's just really inconvenient because I have to take 2 buses to get there. Reminding myself that I need to text Eileen if I can sleep over tomorrow, because I have this meeting that I have to go to tomorrow that's required. The attendance is required, and it's at 10:30 a.m. and that's when my other class starts. So I have to skip class to go to that meeting, and then I have a break between that meeting and when I start work. Like, the meeting ends at 11:30 and then I work at 3 p.m. What am I gonna do in the middle of that? I know. I think I'll walk somewhere else in Oak Bay and then get some work done, and then, yeah, okay, planning. Wow! So I was at Mateo's and I was making dumplings, and the dumplings are not vegetarian. And I just recently turned pescatarian, so it was so sweet because his partner and one of his friends went out to go get other ingredients to make vegetarian things for me. It was so sweet. Yeah, it was just really, really precious. And I'm seeing Mateo again tomorrow. I've seen him 3 days in a row. I'm not sick of him yet. I love him so much. But yeah, he surrounds himself with really good people, and there's sometimes this fear of being around those groups of people that I just think are so cool, and not knowing how I'm gonna act myself. Like, it's this whole thing. I just think they're so cool that they almost appear untouchable to me, that I can't step into that because it's just so pristine. Like, I want to get to know them, but I don't think I'm worthy enough to be in their presence. Oh my gosh. What the heck? Oh. That's a terrible statement to say. Okay, what? Okay. But they were so cool and just amazing, and I loved seeing all of these people in Mateo's life and getting to share moments with them and seeing parts of him that are present within them and parts of them that show up in him whenever I'm with him. But it was so beautiful. Anyways, after that I went to Bayanihan because BCC had practice. Well, I guess they're called Bintig now, huh? I don't know. I'm actually not too sure. But I went to practice and it was really great. I was tired most of the time. I felt myself getting really drained during practice for some reason. Mostly because I strive off of conversation a lot, and I should probably tell them that I feel like when I'm learning such new dances that I need direction throughout the whole thing and not just I'm a visual learner, but I'm also like you need to direct me, while I'm doing the thing, whatever. I will tell them at some point. Yeah. So there's practice, and then after that, I went to church. Wow, the reason I'm making this podcast chronicle thing. So I got there. I had a coffee. I'm hoping it was decaf because I think it'd be weird if they served caffeinated drip coffee at 6:30 p.m. But it was so beautiful. I said hi to Reinhart, and then I walked in and I sat in the middle, in the lower level, in the middle of the church, which is usually where you can feel all the music. And I had a feeling that I wanted to be in that pit area where I could feel the vibrations around me and the singers, their voices propelling towards me, and just boom, like a conch shell, do you know what that is? It's a shell, like a conch, whatever. Google it. I don't even know if I'm saying that correctly, but it's like you're speaking into it and it just boom. You know what? A megaphone. I think a conch shell is prettier though, so I prefer that. But I was sitting in the middle of the pew, or in the middle of the church, and I had a feeling that it was going to be a good one. I finished my coffee, and then I was walking back out. I left all my stuff there because who's going to steal my stuff in the church, right? So I walk out. Well, I'm on the walk out to the washroom, and the women so Coastline live streams their services, and some of the people that are serving there, they work those cameras just like how you work the sound systems and take pictures so that you post them on social media, and also like the coffee stations and the welcome and the whatever. Anyways, so she was working the live stream camera, and I couldn't hear her as I was going out. I was just like, hello. But as I came back in, I was like, okay, I have to talk to her. I'm sorry, because she said something to me and I didn't respond. I just smiled and did a little shimmy, and I went to the washroom. But I went back in and I was talking to her. I said, hello. Her name is Blessing, which is so beautiful. Hello. That was so great. She's from Nigeria. And we were talking about baptism because it was baptism night. She said there were about 5 baptisms that were happening that tonight. But in reality, it was actually, I think it went up. I don't know how they get the numbers for baptism, but it was around like 10, I'm pretty sure. So she was talking about baptism, and she was such a beautiful soul. Just talking to her was so relaxing. She got baptized back in Nigeria about 4 years ago. And then she's been going to Coastline for 4 years. So I don't know how that timeline works, but I'm going to make it make sense to myself. But she got here around 4 years ago, and she's been going to Coastline for 4 years and has been serving since she got here. And she was like, are you thinking of getting baptized? And I don't know if there's a difference between Catholic baptism and non-denominational evangelical Pentecostal churches baptism, because they look very different, but I don't know if they're considered the same thing. Because I'm not going to explain it. Actually, whatever. So in the Catholic Church, you get baptized with water and oil, and then the priest, I guess it is different because it's a priest in there and then the pastor, whatever. Because it's water and oil, and they do this sign of the cross and everything. But in Coastline, churches like Coastline, they literally have you sit in a tub of water and dunk yourself. Actually, no, they dunk you backwards, and then you're like risen back up from the water. It's so beautiful. It's such a beautiful thing. If you haven't seen it, you should go and walk into a baptism night and see how it happens, because it's really really cool. And yeah, while they do it, no, I'm gonna explain later. So she was like, have you been baptized yet? And I don't know if there's a difference. So I talk about how I grew up Catholic, and I'm like, I was baptized in the Catholic Church. And she was like, oh, that's okay. Well, you always have time. Your journey in God takes time. It'll all happen with time. And that's when I'm like, okay, so there is a difference. And I've been thinking about it, like maybe I should get baptized here, because I can be baptized somewhere else, but I also think I do want to experience this type of baptism where I'm dunked into water, full body dunked into water. I think that is something that I want to experience, and she was really convincing me in this 5-minute conversation that we were having. So yeah, I think that was it. And then I went to go sit down, and I see at the EC, she's saying hi. She's worshiping. Worship is when they stand on stage and they're singing, they're praising the Lord. So she's part of the worship team. She's gonna go back up. And a lot of the people in my youth group, my Bible study group, are sitting there. But I didn't want to be with people that I knew, because then I would just be conscious of my body and what it's doing, and also being conscious of their thoughts and everything. So I kind of wanted to sit alone and be with the Lord on my own. But baptism was so beautiful. So it starts with like your regular 3-song worship session, and then Pastor Ryan comes up, does a little talk, and then they do baptism. So they have all those people line up on the side, getting ready to be dunked in water, and Pastor JC is going to be the one dunking them, along with another person on team. So I'm getting cold. And I brought my snacks so that I could snack while I yap, but I don't think I'm capable of doing that. Whenever I'm in dinner, I have to stop eating to fully focus on what I'm saying. So I don't know why I brought these. Anywho, this is my jar of Filipino snacks. It smells really good. It smells like peanuts, and I can't have peanuts or I will break out like crazy. But I think tonight is the night where I break that. I break it sometimes. And then this one kind of smells like pasta because it's in an old ragu container, mason jar thing. But there's dried kiwis in there, and they're really good, but I'm allergic to kiwis. So I'm only having a few. Why did I do that? Now I can't yap. So oh, I should have brought my water, bro. Ugh. Everything's going wrong. No, I'm kidding. So they're all lining up and they're on the side, and all of the songs that they're singing, the worship team sings while baptism is happening, because I think it would be really awkward if the baptisms were the only thing that were happening while songs were going on. So it was just so beautiful. And I remember all of the songs they were doing while baptism was happening are some of my favorite ones that I like to sing when I'm at church, and just some of my favorite Christian songs that I enjoy hearing when I'm at Coastline. And the last song, so precious. It was so touching. It's actually the first worship song that I knew the lyrics by heart to, because it's just so incredible, and I feel so I don't know, I can feel the Lord surrounding me when I hear this song. It's called What a Beautiful Name by Hillsong Worship. It's so good. And I think it's like the most popular worship song too, because it's just so good. But it's the last song that they do as they're wrapping up baptisms, and it's just so fitting. And I feel like that's my sign to really consider getting baptized soon. But I'll go into it. But it was so great. And the lead worshipers, I think it was Rochelle and Michael. They were so good. They're always so incredible whenever I hear them. I feel so holy. And while What a Beautiful Name was happening, I usually like raise up my hands during worship, but I never like raise them up like this, like arms up, fully feeling the Lord's presence. But it was during that song where I just felt like I had to, and suddenly my arms were up, and it was so crazy. Oh my goodness, it was so beautiful. I'm so glad I went tonight, even though I have a lab exam tomorrow that I probably should be studying for, but I'm not too worried about it, which is a little concerning. But I also have a couple of projects that are due this week that I should be very concerned about because it's a lot of my grade, but I don't know why they're due this week and not in 2 weeks. And I don't know why it's all due this week when the past couple weeks have just been so chill. I don't know. I don't know. I think it's supposed to make sense, but whatever. So I have it all written down. Coasty baby. So they have these like series that they do at Coastline where just like for like a set period of time they have this title of the type of sermons that they're doing, and this series is rhythms, so finding a rhythm for your life. And kind of to start the new year, it was basically, instead of setting a resolution, set a rhythm for your life instead, so something like more long term that you can follow, and not just a resolution that's probably not going to see itself through the rest of the year. But this week is the last week of the rhythm series, and it was just such a good wrap up. Pastor Lisa was the one that was doing the sermon today, and I'm really glad she was doing it. The last one that I went to was Pastor Alistair, and I didn't feel very connected to his sermon that week. I usually like him, but I wasn't really feeling it that week, and I was very unfocused when I was at church that day. But yeah, so baptism night, la 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 la. And as always, I almost cried 7 times, but it was all at the very beginning. I was seeing the people that were getting baptized, and also just being in the midst of that worship, just really feeling the Lord's presence and feeling so happy, feeling so content, and being full. Like, it felt like my soul was on fire, you know? That's a common phrase, and I don't think I've ever felt that before after shedding myself of the Catholic title. But yeah, I think this was the first time that I felt like my soul was on fire for the Lord, which is really great. I wrote here, I should get baptized, but I don't think it's time yet. ... So Pastor Lisa starts her sermon off talking about speed limits, and Victoria has recently lowered their speed limits, so now it's like 30 kilometers an hour, which is very, very slow, especially because I grew up until last year. I was driving and being surrounded by drivers that would go over like sometimes 50 miles per hour. I don't know the conversion, but not only is 30 lower, kilometers is also lower. So I feel like it's like 20 miles per hour. I have no idea, but it sounded really slow. And then I quoted, Pastor Lisa said, it's hard when you're forced to be slow, but sometimes slowness has a purpose in your life. Like, she used the example of being in a grocery store and, trying to like hurry up life and try to get so many things done that day, but you're stuck behind this really old person at the grocery store, like getting their groceries, but they're taking a long time, and you're just forced to slow down in that moment. And it can be frustrating and agitating because it's a society that is so fast paced. Um, she said that we like resisting the fast pace of our society can be very difficult because our culture is frantic, which is great. I really liked when she said that. But she said sometimes slowness has a purpose and there is a good kind of slow. And then she she brought up the concept of godspeed, the term godspeed, really. And I immediately thought of Frank Ocean. I think I'm gonna start listening to more Frank Ocean just because I feel like he's pretty Christian. Just hearing some of his music, I'm like, you sound like God is the center of your life, and I love it for you. But she is talking about Godspeed, and Godspeed is God's pace, not culture's hurry, which I really liked. What did I write here? I said, God has a pace for me. He gave me time in between graduation and university. He gave me a pause to slow down. I can walk to my destination and not run around life trying to get more done and eventually getting burnt out. So real. I loved when she mentioned this because Christians are trying to look at God's actions and try to listen to God's voice. And I've been really struggling with that in my life lately, where I'm struggling to hear his voice and struggling to hear what he's trying to push me towards. I always, whenever I make a decision, I try to stop and think about how I'm going to feel after making a certain decision. Like there's the obvious right ethical answer, but then there's also this spontaneous, impulsive, fun thing that I could do. And I just try to think, is the opportunity cost, oh my gosh, not me using my economics, is the opportunity cost, which one is more worth it? Like, how terrible will I feel after making this short-term impulsive decision that'll bring me short-term happiness? How worth it is it to have that short-term happiness versus the obviously right ethical thing? But is that also going to affect me long-term? How much of a good thing is that? Whatever. Yeah, well, I try to do that whole thing when I make decisions. I think it's really good that I do that. But recently, for the past month or so, I've been struggling with it. Like, recently I made a very, very impulsive decision. And I truly couldn't tell how I was feeling about it. And I was trying to ask Jesus what I should do and what he thinks is right. And I couldn't hear what he was trying to say. I couldn't feel it at all. And eventually I made a very interesting decision, but I don't regret it. I don't feel bad about it. Because I think it was me grasping for something that I needed. And even though it didn't help me feel better, it helped me understand my situation better and understand my life at the moment and how my brain is working at the moment. It just, making that decision did a lot for me, I think. sure, it didn't make me feel good, but at least I understand now. And I think if I didn't make that decision, I would still be a little lost. And sometimes you have to drift away to be brought closer. They have this thing in the cat, not the cat. Well, they have this thing in Christianity where, sorry, where they're like, you have, you're not always going to be close to God, but it's in those moments where you drift away, where you reach back out towards Him, because it's in those trial moments where you can truly feel God's mercy. I don't like saying mercy because there's this whole like thing around it where I don't know, it's not a super positive word to me yet, but I know that it can be beautiful. It's mentioned in a lot of Christian songs. But what was I saying? I don't remember. But I'm sure it makes sense where I was going to go with that point. Anyways, yeah. And if I made that obviously good decision, I think I wouldn't have drifted enough away where I would be wanting to be back in the Lord's embrace, you know, in His safety. So then Pastor Lisa was talking about slowing down time, slowing down life, so that you can really feel what's going around you and trying to be present within the moment. And she was talking about how one weekend, or why am I eating right now? And I don't have water either, so like my mouth is trying to hydrate itself, so it's really difficult to chew. She was saying how she was visiting her mom with her son, so she was taking that weekend to spend time with grandma, and she felt like time was slowing down just to talk with her. And that really resonated with me, because I was saying in the last really long chronicle that sometimes my heart just slows down, like my heartbeat slows down. And I can slow down my own heartbeat, which is a little crazy. A few of the people that I've been with are like, did you just slow down your heartbeat? When they're laying down on one of my pulse points and they're listening to my heartbeat. And sometimes that makes me anxious because they can hear it and they'll be like, I can feel your heartbeat. So I slow it down and they're like, whoa, did you do that? Anyways, that really resonated with me because I talk about how it feels like when my heartbeat slows down, it feels like time is slowing down, almost like it's rewinding itself. But I don't know, I just really liked how she said that. And then she said, we're slowing down to catch up with God, because God walks. God takes His time. He goes by godspeed, and he's taking a godly pace. He's not running to get where He wants to be, because He has a plan and He's walking through this plan. He's never going to rush you, you know? He's not going to rush your healing process. There's a right time for everything. And Coastline recently had this fasting and prayer thing for 21 days. So it's kind of like a challenge. And she was saying how life isn't a 21-day challenge. Let's think a little more long term. Just comparing this sermon and the 21 days that we were going through fasting, basically. I don't know if that makes sense, but I don't feel like explaining it right now. But another thing that popped up was she asked us to think about our life in 30 years' time. And I found myself getting a little emotional when she asked that because I was thinking about it. And in 30 years, I'll be 49, which is crazy to me. On the brink of 50, like halfway to 100. Crazy. And I was thinking about it. I'm going to set that kiwi down. I was really thinking about it. I was like, I'm going to be looking back at all of these decisions that I've made and all of the times where I've had a rhythm in my life and had that rhythm interrupted, but just grateful that I had a rhythm in the first place. Like, it's better to have, she said, it's better to have an interrupted rhythm rather than no rhythm at all. And I was just thinking, when I'm 49, I don't have time to worry about the interesting decisions that I made when I was 19 or 18. Both those years, kind of crazy. I would rather be proud of the things that I've done, proud of the things that I've overcome, and happy that I've done so much in my life. Even if it was bad, that I had those experiences and I was able to learn from them, have these conversations with my iPad and get to ponder them instead of studying. What did I do? Like, did I scroll on my phone? No, I yapped at my iPad for, how long is it now? 37 minutes. No, but I think this is really beautiful. I'm really glad that I'm doing this. It's really cold in here. So I'm seeing my breath in the air. It's so cold. I don't know why I did this. I thought it would be warmer in here because I used to do karaoke by myself in this green room. But I guess I was moving a lot when I was doing that, so I must have been warmer. But it's super cold now because I've not been moving for the past 40-ish minutes. But yeah, I want to be proud of the things that I have already done in my life. And if I'm not proud, at least find joy in the amount of life that I've lived. You know? Yeah. But slowing down life to me looks like slowing down my speaking. Because sometimes I've found recently I love yapping to people, as most of you know, but sometimes I've been speaking too quickly and I stumble over my words. Sometimes it's because I have so many thoughts in my head that want to get out, and I think I'm just gonna forget them if I don't say them out loud in the moment. But also just not really internalizing the value of the words that I'm saying. You know? Because I have been speaking very quickly lately because I have so many thoughts and I don't know how to put importance in them, just because I myself don't feel very connected to my ideas. And I don't want to talk without a purpose. So I think recently I've just been saying as much as I can within a short amount of time, despite knowing that that's not how my brain works. I think my most valuable thoughts come out when I'm speaking slowly. Yeah, but slowing down to me looks like speaking slower, thinking slower, really going through my thoughts and being purposeful with the words that I use, and the language, the body language in which I portray them, because I think I'm better at portraying physically what I'm thinking and feeling rather than speaking. Because I get lost along the way. I lose the plot whenever I speak. And then also moving. Yeah. Yeah. Because I really want to be in tune with my body in the coming days. Like, like my body movements and being aware of what my body is doing. Being a host at the hotel, like being purposeful with each step that I make to get that guest to their table. This is so funny. Rather than just like having it be a job and like putting my brain into autopilot, while I'm guiding this guest to their table, because it's more than that. It's a moment. It's just for this moment. It's a moment between me and this guest, and just bringing joy into their life. And I always forget about it in the service industry until I get one guest that is so incredible, such a yapper, but they're always so appreciative of their server and their host that I just want to stay at their table and talk to them for 20 minutes, but I can't do that because there's nobody else on duty. So, yeah, just making better moments, even if I know that I'm most likely never going to see this person again, having a good impact on their day, and just making their day better by being a good soul to them in the moment. Also, slowing down to me is working and productivity. I've been struggling to study effectively recently because I want to do so much at one time that I get all of my unimportant things done first, and then by then I'm like, oh, I've been productive enough, it's fine. And not wanting to take the time to really study for my classes, and that takes a lot of time. And that's not just an email to your manager, which is what I've been doing. That's not just updating your availability on your schedule. It's not just confirming your attendance for a dinner that you're having next week. It's also taking the time to go through this is literally common sense, but taking the time to go through those study guides and skim through all of those readings that you were skipping out for the rest of the term that you just had. But really going through each piece of information and picking out what you are going to need. That's what slowing down is going to look like for me in the coming hours, days, weeks. I hope long term, Oh, it's getting so cold that my brain is slowing down. Where are we? 43 minutes? That's not bad. I thought this would be 2 hours long. La la la. What a beautiful day it is. What a beautiful day it is. Yeah. I think that's most of everything that I had to talk about today. What else did I write? God finishes what he starts. Slow down and work at God's pace. Sorry, this chronicle is very faith heavy, very spiritual heavy. Just because it's so important to me. I want to speak about that, La, 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 la. God is God, but he is also fully human. I just remembering that God gave us his only son. I'm still struggling with this concept where God is God, but God is also Jesus. But he's also the Holy Spirit. But Jesus is God's son. So God is God is God, but he's also his son. You know? I don't understand that yet. But I will eventually. I know I will. I have this diagram that I made when I was in CCO where it's God, and then the bridge between us and God is Jesus. And then the Holy Spirit is the space around Jesus. Whatever. Anyways, Jesus was fully human, so he knows what it's like to be like us. But he didn't run. He walked. He walked across water. He didn't run across water. He walked. Period. And yes. And yes. Don't miss what God is trying to say in your life. That hit. Because I was like, I've been really missing what he's trying to say, because, you know, those decisions that I was making and really not slowing down life and trying to understand what was going on so that I could ask the Lord for help. You know? But yeah. This is so funny that I brought out these snacks, but I didn't even touch them. I have been eating the same kiwi for the past, 46 minutes? Or whenever I started eating this kiwi on this chronicle. It's so hard now because it's so cold out here. But I'm really glad that Victoria is the warmest place in Canada right now. I won't lie, I'm really concerned that it hasn't snowed this winter and that I can already feel spring coming, which is really concerning because my anxious self is just like, global warming, But the cherry blossoms coming back, I have such a tie to these Victoria cherry blossoms because you all have seen my post from last year talking about how much I'm in love with Victoria. I don't quite feel like that this year just because it's starting to feel a little small to me. And Pilab was saying earlier that there's always so much to do in Vancouver. So I definitely don't think I'm going to stay on the island once I graduate. But it's such a good pace, I think, for my life right now, especially when I'm trying to figure things out and, you know, slowing down my life. I don't need that kind of speed. I don't need that busy life at the moment. Because I know that, and I've talked to a lot of the other coastline people, I know that they feel like they don't have, the ones that have come from the mainland, they don't have that kind of community on the mainland because they're all trying to live life so quickly. They're stuck in frantic society. And Victoria, as much as it is isolated, it's also a good slow pace from the chaos over there. I just wanted to get that out. That wasn't related at all, but you know. Yeah, don't miss what God is trying to say in your life. I don't know if any of the people that are listening right now are believers in Jesus, but I hope that you found some value in this chronicle and that life is good to you and that you get to slow down a bit of your life to really be in tune with the things around you, with life around you, with your studies, with your heart. Don't let yourself get burnt out by your speed, but taking a good speed. Even if you have to go fast, sometimes you have to, and that's okay. But always remember that slowness will always be there for you too, as much as chaos is also there for you. You know? Yeah. That's all I gotta say. Rochelle loves you very, very much, and I hope you have a very good night. I'm so cold, so I'm gonna go inside now.